Welcome to the live stream. I am back. The show hasn't ended. I realize that the timing of our vacation this week and part of last week was not ideal because of what's been going on with YouTube. So we've got the YouTube advertiser boycott starts on March 31st, and then not even 2 weeks later, all of a sudden, I'm gone on vacation. But they were unrelated. The vacation was scheduled months in advance. It has nothing to do whatsoever with the advertiser boycott, and I'm back, and we are back to the normal schedule on Monday. So, I mean, it wasn't a great time for a vacation in the sense that there's a lot of stuff to be done because of what's going on with the YouTube advertiser boycott. Also, just tons of crazy stuff happening. I mean, the mother of all bombs, Bill O'Reilly, fired, resigns in disgrace, whatever the case may be. Diplomatic crises, economic situations going on. We've got the French election going on this weekend. I mean, it's just so much has been going on. So there's going to be a lot to catch up on the program tomorrow. No, I'm sorry, not tomorrow, on Monday. Still a little jet lagged, so I'm trying to figure out what day it is myself. I will talk about my vacation on Monday on the bonus show probably, but we'll have a pretty packed regular show, but we'll talk about it on the bonus show. We'll hear about vegan producer Pat's vacation. I mean, just tons of stuff for us to tell you about and lots of different things going on. If this is your first live stream, a few things that I can mention to you. Number one, yes, this is really live unless you're watching a replay, in which case, obviously it's not live. But if it's 4 p.m. Eastern on Friday, April 21st, then yes, this is live. Number two, Super Chat is on. Feel free to use it. You can send Super Chat questions and comments, which will be read. Number three, new members and patrons that sign up during the live stream at either davidpakman.com/membership or patreon.com/davidpakmanshow during the stream will get live shout outs and thank yous during the stream. Number four, obvious trolling and hate will get you banned. I can ban you. The moderators can ban you. Subtle trolling probably will not get you banned if it is subtle enough. And what is considered subtle enough, I guess we will see. So obviously, anytime we have a vacation, it's hard to decide on the following show day, in this case a Monday, what stories to cover and what stories not to cover. Obviously, there's probably 100 stories that we could cover on Monday that we missed. But, you know, the thing is, we're trying to be timely. And if I go back and, you know, the last news show we did was April 14th. If I go back and start doing every big story as of April 15th forward, it's going to seem a little bit out of date for me on the 24th to start doing stories from the 15th. So what I actually try to do during the vacations are a couple things, but sort of like a news detox where I don't pay attention to news and politics except if someone talks to me about it, so that I can tune back in a couple of days before we come back, like now, and really try to focus on the stories that are most relevant and newsworthy right now. The other thing is I also don't want to start getting too in my head as far as the commentaries. And I feel like if I think about a story for 10 days, part of what is good about the show, I think, is that we're coming up with these stories sort of in reaction to what's happening in real time. And if I have from the 14th to the 24th to think about a story, unless it's like a long form piece, the likes of which many of you have probably seen, it's probably not going to have sort of the same feel. So I'm definitely, I mean, big picture, how many wars might we get into? Okay, so I'm going to talk about that on Monday. I'm going to talk about also our Attorney General seems sort of confused about how the law works, which is not a trait that I would want to be able to attribute so easily to our Attorney General. Jeff Sessions seemingly doesn't get how, as he put it, a judge on an island in the middle of the Pacific, that being Hawaii, was able to stop Trump's immigration ban. That's a major, major concern. Also, Jeff Sessions is increasingly interested in arresting Julian Assange, of course, of WikiLeaks fame, who's been sitting for years at this point in the Ecuadorian embassy in London. And I want to talk, that has pretty significant implications from a free speech, censorship, and a free independent press perspective, because historically, when you have someone with access, either known access or breached access to classified or secret data, and they take that information and give it to someone who distributes it, so in other words, Chelsea Manning taking information and giving it to WikiLeaks, typically only the actual leaker is punished, as Chelsea Manning was, but of course is set to be released from prison next month. Going after Julian Assange is sort of a next step, and it's a concerning next step. And there are arguments to be made that Julian Assange isn't exactly the media in the way that the New York Times or Washington Post would be if they published secret or leaked information. But this is still very, very concerning. So I'm going to be talking about that on Monday. Also, there have been, we'll talk about the Bill O'Reilly thing. I have thoughts about it. One of my main reactions is that how odd is it that Bill O'Reilly has been forced to quit / fired, whatever, with tens of millions of dollars of a golden parachute and an upcoming book deal. What Bill O'Reilly did is something that Donald Trump on camera admitted to doing multiple times, and many, many women accused him of doing. And the repercussions of that for Trump were that he was elected president of the United States. So obviously, Bill O'Reilly is a total sleazebag. And we've known about this for a while, since the first Andrea Macris loofah falafel thing. But Trump has been audio-visually recorded admitting to basically doing the exact same thing that Bill O'Reilly ultimately had to resign in shame from. Also, some psychiatry experts at a Yale conference said that Donald Trump has what they're calling a dangerous mental illness. We've been talking about possible early onset, I guess at this point it wouldn't be early onset, but early signs of dementia or Alzheimer's exhibited by Donald Trump. We're going to talk about that. We have a lot of new information that's been released by Adam Schiff, who has found a Russian money trail involving Trump and $100 million. Alex Jones now is involved in a custody battle. And people are asking me to revise or review my story where I met Alex Jones and came away with the impression that Alex Jones is playing a character on his program, because this is actually something that his lawyer said in Alex Jones's custody battle, saying you can't use the Alex Jones persona of his radio online show to determine whether he is fit to have custody of his kids, because that's just a character that he's playing. Alex Jones has already denied this, but this is something I've been saying for years. So I'll talk about that on Monday if I have time. And there's so many other stories to be looking at here. Dow Chemical has donated $1 million to Donald Trump. And by the way, they're asking at the same time for the Trump administration to ignore a devastating pesticide study. The Republican Party has another plan to destroy and quote, replace Obamacare, and it's even more of a disaster than the embarrassingly failed American Health Care Act. So it's going to be a packed show on Monday. Tuesday, Ben Dixon is filling in for me again, because I'll be traveling, as I do twice a year, to Las Vegas to the Mass Torts Made Perfect conference organized by Ring of Fire host Mike Papantonio, and I'll be broadcasting from there for the end of the week. So it's a busy, busy week, and we're going to be talking about that. Let's go to Super Chat. Okay, well, should I go to Super Chat first, or do people want to hear an update with what's going on with the YouTube monetization crisis? Because a lot is going on with that. Let's just go through Super Chats first, and then I'll get people, myself, and many people are wondering what's going on with YouTube stuff. I'll get to that. Daskaptik, I have no idea if I'm saying that right, has sent a $10 Super Chat. Is it just me, Or do Trump supporters behave like fans of a sports team? No real benefit for them, yet they cheer like maniacs about their figurehead. Yeah, absolutely. And we saw the Tea Party supporting elected officials and positions that were completely against their own best interests. We've seen so many broken promises from Trump already, and people just so obviously bamboozled that it is just crazy. People are saying that my camera is out of focus. Let's see if I can fix that. I was noticing that myself, and then wasn't sure if that was just on my end. Let me see if I can actually fix that here. It is bothering me as well. I have a tool that I can use for that. Let's see if it works. It doesn't always, and it doesn't seem to be working right now. Let me try one other thing here and see if we can get that fixed up. Focus. I think I've got it. I found the focus button. Let's see if I can fix that. I believe I am now in focus. I think I have fixed it. All right, let's continue with the super chats. Okay, $20 super chat here. Would you consider having Jen Briney of Congressional Dish on the show for an interview? She does deep dives into subjects like controlling Puerto Rico and Trump's first laws. Congressional Dish is a great fit for the audience. Jen Briney is not only a New England Patriots fan, but she's been on the show a number of times, and I would be interested in having her back on. Very good idea. eKitKatJJ has sent a $2 super chat saying, welcome back to hell. Yeah, I know. It's insane what is going on in the world right now, and we'll be talking about it on Monday. Frank McWright sent a $20 super chat. While it's wise to view North Korea as a serious problem, do you think a lot of their verbal threats are just lies to appear more powerful than they are? It feels similar to the real propaganda they feed their own people. Absolutely. I mean, you're spot on here, Frank. About that. There is no doubt whatsoever. And that's why it's so, we know that Kim Jong-un is completely unhinged and presents a real risk. But at the same time, we have to remember that a lot of what is said is the same type of propaganda that they're feeding their own people. By the way, I've just started reading a book, and I don't have it here. It's by Adam Johnson. I forget the name of it, but it is a novel based around North Korea. I'm about 70 pages in, and it's fantastic. I'll probably be recommending it to you at some point. Vincent Von Doodler has sent a $1 super chat. Thank you. Sham, or Ham Toreno has sent a $25 super chat. Do you find Jason Chaffetz's sudden announcement to not run in 2018 to be suspect? It's weird, but partially because I've been on vacation, I don't exactly know what might be behind it, but I do find it weird, and I want to look into it more, and I'll report back as soon as I have more to say about it. But yes, absolutely, I found that to be odd. And another $1 super chat from Vincent Von Dudler. So thank you very, very much. Okay. I do want to update folks on what's going on with the YouTube advertiser boycott, okay? I know it's been like 10 days since I've been around, and you may not even have been aware about what happened in the first place. But on March 31st, YouTube rolled out a new algorithm to determine when ads play before YouTube videos. This was in response to what I think was a non-problem, where a Coke ad appeared on a racist video and a few other examples of videos being monetized that shouldn't have been, were screenshotted by the Wall Street Journal, and a few other articles were written. And YouTube freaked, advertisers freaked, and what happened was channels with relatively, quote, provocative content like The David Pakman Show experienced a total and complete shutdown of ad revenue. We lost 99.9% of our ad revenue overnight, okay? The last time I talked to you about what was going on was April 11th. And up to that point, YouTube had been basically giving me runarounds with some sort of vague promises to look into what the problem was. but we got no revenue back whatsoever. And what we did in response was we've been pushing membership as well as a new Patreon page at patreon.com/David Pakman Show. YouTube revenue used to make up 40 to 50% of our entire show's revenue. We have staff, we have a studio, we have IT expenses, right? This is a real organization. And losing 40 to 50% of our revenue overnight crushed us. I've been gone since April 12th. What has happened since April 12th? Well, April 12th and 13th saw a return of about 10 to 15% of our ad revenue. And I was optimistic at that point, thinking, hey, it's coming back. This is going to be fixed. Unfortunately, from April 14th forward, we're now on April 21st, disaster. We basically have ads playing. So to give you one statistic, before the YouTube monetization crisis, on average, ads would play 6 times for every 10 videos on YouTube, for every 10 views. So if 10 different people or one person watched 10 videos, for every 10 video plays, 6 ads would play. Right? That's a 60% monetization rate. Right now, we have a 7% monetization rate on YouTube. So people have been emailing and tweeting me saying, David, I saw an ad on your channel. And that's true. About 7% of views are serving ads. So you might say, well, that's great, David. You're at least earning 7% of what you were before. Wrong, because in addition, the ads are paying a lot less. I was telling you before that we used to make about 1/5 of a penny each time someone watched an ad before a video. We're now making about half of that, okay? So you take a 7% monetization rate, that's about 1/6 of where we were before, actually more like a 1/9 or so. And each one of those ads is paying half as much. So we're basically making 5% on YouTube of what we were. Okay, so basically we're still trying to replace that lost revenue. We have the Patreon page and we have membership. So I'll tell you just very briefly about those two things. The Patreon page is at patreon.com/David Pakman Show. We currently have over 1,400 patrons. We have a little challenge going if we can get to 2,000 patrons. I'll talk about that a little later. But in any case, if you can just throw in $1 at patreon.com/David Pakman Show, you're making up for all the revenue that we would have received from you if you watched all of our videos. We estimate we would have made about 35 to 50 cents off of each viewer who watches all of our videos in a month. If you just go to patreon.com/David Pakman Show and throw in $1, you're covered. You're covering yourself. Okay. And if you can throw in $2 or $5 or $10 or $25 or even $50 or $100, as many people have, that just helps us even more. Okay. So for example, while I've been talking, Brandon Cuss has pledged $2 on Patreon. And I thank Brandon for that. And I will thank everybody else who does this while we are chatting today. The other thing you can do, of course, is membership. And membership has been around for a while. davidpakman.com/membership is the website where you can check that out. And we have a coupon code. And the way that that works is after you select your membership, and you can select a monthly or yearly membership, doesn't matter. You hit the red sign up button. It'll take you to page 2. And you can enter the coupon code that you see here pointed to by the red arrow. I voted 17. I voted 17, all one word, all lowercase. And that'll give you a 40% discount. And truly, I don't care what you pay, okay? Pay $480 for the year, as some people do, or pay $6 a month and take a 40% discount, making it under $4 a month. We just need to replace the revenue, and we're doing it $1 at a time, right? So I truly, any amount matters. And the extra cool thing or scary thing that we're actually doing with Patreon is a couple weeks ago, I posted this picture to my Instagram account. I'm on Instagram at david.pakman. This was scary to a lot of people, and I understand that. I really do. But by the way, this is what happens when I don't use product to control my hair. I have agreed to do an entire show in studio with my hair like this if we reach 2,000 patrons. Okay, so we are closing in on 1,500 patrons, and if we get to 2,000 patrons, I've said that I will do an entire show with my hair that way. So if you want that to happen, patreon.com/David Pakman Show. All right, so that's what's going on. That's the latest with the YouTube advertiser boycott. I wish I had better news. I genuinely do, but I don't. We're pulling in about 5% of what we once were. I don't know how long it's going to go on. This may just be the new normal, and if this is the case, we've just got to replace the money. I mean, I wish that there was some other coy way for me to sort of talk about what's going on, but we've got to replace the money, period. And I don't want to have to change anything about the show. That's my goal. And if we can keep growing membership and keep growing the Patreon, we'll be able to do that. All right, let's get back to the super chat. CW Hambone has sent a $5 super chat. David, what is the extent of your experience with dank weed nugs? Highly limited, incredibly limited, I would say. 5 Second has sent a $1 Canadian super chat. Thank you very much. I was just in Canada yesterday. Actually, on vacation, I flew on Air Canada for the first time, and my connection was in Montreal. I can't even say it the way people were saying it up there. It's like Muntreal. Anyway, pretty good experience, I have to tell you. Everybody was very, very nice on Air Canada. Peter Slattery sent a €5 super chat. Any opinion on Sally Yates testifying in front of the Intelligence Committee next week? Positive. I want to hear what Sally Yates has to say. I've been saying it for a while. I believe it was atrocious and a really bad thing that her testimony was canceled, and I want to see what she has to say, and I hope that it's a positive development in the sense that it will give us clarity, hopefully, as to what's going on. Isaiah Rowe has sent a $10 super chat. Have you been following the French elections at all, / Marine Le Pen? Yes, I have, and I am providing a commentary on this on Monday. I am looking forward to it, and yeah, I've been following it, and you know, we had the attack in France, and the timing of that immediately. There are, I think, pretty reasonable assessments made that it could well affect the outcome of the election. Although I don't know that it will flip the outcome, but I think it could affect the vote tallies, and we'll be talking about that on Monday. Mahniani sent a $10 super chat with no question or comment. Thank you very much. Jennifer Carrain sent a $20 super chat. I watched videos and only one ad played in 20. I hope you get a decent percentage of super chats. I figure if the Patriots could come back and beat Atlanta, you will be all right. I think your fans will get you through this. I hope so. I hope so. Listen, it wouldn't be... What am I trying to say? I'm trying to say this in a way that will communicate sort of both the urgency but also the commitment that we have to the show. When the YouTube monetization crisis hit, we could have just decided to scale down the show. Hey, we lost 40 to 50% of our revenue. Okay, let's start cutting down staff hours. Let's remove some of the platforms that the show is on that we're on at our expense. We're on 200 radio and TV stations that are community radio and TV stations. They can't pay for the show. If I ask them to contribute money, they can't do it. They have no budget. We produce the show because I believe it's an important community media service, right? I could say, let's eliminate anything that costs us money. We'll scale down and, you know, we'll be okay. We'll just do a podcast and maybe it'll be 4 times a week instead of 5 or whatever. And we'll sort of just really cut expenses. We'll get rid of the studio, which is a big expense, and all these other things. I don't want to do that. I want to keep doing everything we're doing. I want to keep doing 160 YouTube videos a month. I want to keep growing on new platforms, and we're talking to new platforms about that now. That's why we launched Patreon, and that's why we are pushing membership, because I want to keep things the same way. And what Jennifer Carrain is saying, if it's true, we'll be fine, right? Jennifer is saying, if using an analogy with the Super Bowl champion New England Patriots, that the fans are going to get us through this, and if the Patriots could come back, then so will we. That's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping. Spooky Maine sent a $10 super chat saying, this YouTube boycott started after the Wall Street Journal's article about ads being played on racist videos. Before this, they ran a hit piece on the biggest YouTuber, PewDiePie. Thoughts on his situation? I know very little about PewDiePie other than he has tens of millions of subscribers. I mean, just an insane number of subscribers. That makes me jealous, no doubt about it. But also that he did something involving Fiverr and getting some people to hold up a sign that said something anti-Semitic that it doesn't even appear that the people holding up the sign knew about. And yes, Wall Street Journal is the common thread between both of those stories. Here's my sort of commentary and analysis of that. What happened with the YouTube ad boycott did overlap with the launch of YouTube TV. And is that a coincidence? I don't know. I tend not to believe really in coincidences very much. So that's one aspect of it. And number two, the ad money that was pulled from YouTube, where independent shows like the David Pakman Show could get a slice of that, that money is just going to legacy and corporate media. So Wall Street Journal, owned by News Corporation, this is a boon for corporate media. And I think Spooky Maine is spot on about the corporate media aspect to what's going on. The way to push back against it is keep signing up at davidpakman.com/membership, the way Olivia Blow just did, the way that Chao Huang just did. Keep signing up at patreon.com/davidpakmanshow, like Michael Rogan just did, who pledged $2. We also got new pledges from Lee Jackson pledging $5 and Heiko pledging $1, Patricia Beatty pledging $5, Athena Harding pledging $5 a month, No Time to Mourn upping their pledge from $2 to $5 a month. And this is, I often talk about, supporting independent media, push back against corporate media. That's literally what you're doing when you contribute on Patreon or sign up for membership, because that money that left YouTube went directly to corporate media. Arez Saiza sent a 10 Mexican peso super chat. eKitKat Double J sent a $2 super chat. Tax refund, gonna triple down. Let the fro flow. Yeah, what eKitKat is referring to is that I've agreed to do an entire show in our studio with my hair like this, which is a picture I posted to my Instagram account, david.pakman, a couple weeks ago. If we get to 2,000 patrons at patreon.com/davidpakmanshow, I've agreed to do an entire show with my hair like this, which I think is probably going to raise questions from a lot of our affiliates sort of about my sanity, but I'm willing to deal with those questions. In the Moment ITM sent a $5 super chat. I disagree with you a lot, but I'd rather have 100 independent Pakman shows instead of bowing to propagandized mainstream media. Thank you very much. Eritro Pathak sent a $2 super chat. Why is Brandeis ugly? I don't know if you're talking about Louis Brandeis or Brandeis, the campus of Brandeis University in Waltham, Massachusetts. I don't really know offhand what Louis Brandeis looked like, so I don't know if he was ugly. And I've only driven by the Brandeis campus once. As a reminder, I went to Bentley, not Brandeis. Bentley is the other business school in Waltham, Massachusetts. So I couldn't say. $5 Canadian dollar super chat from Brandon Cuss. Hey, David, welcome back. How does the revenue from super chats compare to YouTube ad revenue? Well, since YouTube ad revenue is down 95%, basically super chat revenue crushes it. I mean, it's simply an issue of math at this point. But super chat revenue has been crushing YouTube ad revenue this month. Strand FPV Films sent a super chat for $20. Hey Dave, another Dave here. I invented a revolutionary way to remember people at rememberme.memorial, and I would give you a huge commission for anyone you steer to my website, giving you a coupon code, of course. I appreciate the super chat, but right now we are not looking to do affiliate program commission type things. The easiest way for our viewers to replace the revenue that we have lost is to become members at davidpakman.com/membership. There's a coupon code, I voted 17, gives you 40% off. Or to become a patron, pledge even just $1 a month. Most people can do $1 a month. If you can't, you are the person I'm doing this show for that I don't expect any money from, okay? But for people who can pledge $1 a month, those dollars add up to allowing us to which allow us to provide this show for free to 200 community and independent media outlets, TV stations, radio stations, etc. Stephen Hardy sent a £2 super chat. Opinion on UK snap election, and who would you vote for? No opinion yet. I've been very much out of the entire thing while I've been on vacation, and I don't yet have an opinion on that. But I will tell you. Once I have a strong position on that. Trevor Pelletier or Pelletier sent a $10 super chat. Suggestion for the revenue issue. Make a separate channel with videos of your ads, like the Warby Parker clip. Then provide a link for loyal viewers to be able to view them, thus helping the channel make money. Yeah, so those ads, like the Warby Parker ones, and a lot of those, we only make money if people do the offer that is advertised. Not all of them, but some of them. So we have to manage those in a slightly different way. But, you know, the idea, one thing that, and I'm going to talk about this in a second, when the New York Times article came out about the David Pakman Show, if you haven't seen it, don't worry, I'll tell you about it in a second. A lot of major YouTubers got in touch. These are people that, if you're at all familiar with YouTubers, you know these people, right? The people with millions and millions of subscribers got in touch with me, and everybody had suggestions. And it was suggested to sort of do an offshoot channel. Also, there have been suggestions as to how to sort of game the YouTube system. I'm trying to play it straight for now, and I'll keep you posted on how that's going. Jacob Ball sent a $5 super chat. Do you see a significant bump in membership or Patreons during live streams? If so, how significant? Yeah, we do. We get new members and new patrons accelerate during live streams for sure. And on that note, let me do a few more thank yous. First of all, new patrons that have pledged while we've been chatting. Olivia Blow has pledged $2 a month. Joachim Blomquist has pledged $2 a month. Rick Moomey has pledged $5 a month. And Rosalie Waller has pledged $1 a month. On the membership front, of course, with the coupon code IVoted17 available for you, Terry Weinberg. Thank you. Thanks to Terry Weinberg for making a pledge at patreon.com. For signing up for membership at davidpakman.com/membership. Arez Saiza has sent a 500 Mexican peso super chat. Now, the last time I was in Mexico, the exchange rate was 16 Mexican pesos per dollar. I don't know what the exchange rate is now. I guess that would have been roughly $31 at the old exchange rate, but maybe that's changed. Thank you, Arez. Stephen Joseph has sent a $10 super chat. Do you think Uncle Donnie is off his meds? Okay, aside from the sort of funny nature of the way you're asking the question, we have reports from a Yale psychiatric conference that happened a couple days ago, where psychiatrists, I guess we would call them, a term I should know since my dad is a psychiatrist. Psychiatrists have indicated they think that Donald Trump is mentally ill severely, and we'll be talking about that on Monday. Sham, Cham, or Ham Toreno has sent a $6.66 super chat. Will we ever get a live show from knee deep in the shores of hell? Well, I don't think so. I don't believe hell exists. But if you do, how different is it than where Donald Trump has us headed right now? I guess that's what comes to mind. Thomas Swords has sent a $10 super chat. Would hate to lose your important voice, so I gotta do my part. Thank you, Thomas. Norby Delta has sent a 10 British pound super chat. Please say quickly, how much oil can a gum boil if a gum boil could boil oil? If a gum boil could boil oil, a gum boil would boil as much oil as a gum boil could boil oil. I hope that was worth 10 British pounds for you. And Gover Capriles has sent a $5 super chat. Can you a show as the Joker, the Dark Knight? Please and wish you the best. Listen, it's not like everything is on the table now. I said I was willing to do a show with my hair like this if we get to 2,000 patrons at patreon.com/David Pakman Show. I'm not going to start doing the show with masks or cartoon comic book characters, right? I mean, I think that would, by the way, as if this wouldn't hurt the credibility of the show for people who don't know what's going on and that it's part of a fundraiser enough. I think the last thing I need to do is be dressed as the Joker or Batman during during the show. We're not trying to take down the show, right? I mean, we're just trying to do what we can to replace the lost YouTube ad revenue. Okay, a couple other. Let me also just say thank you to Samantha Porritt. Samantha Porritt has signed up at davidpakman.com/membership. You can use the coupon code IVoted17. That'll get you a 40% discount off of membership. And of course, we are trying to replace the lost YouTube revenue at patreon.com/DavidPakmanShow. We are closing in on 1,500 patrons, okay? We're at 1,439 patrons. 1,500 is sort of a good immediate goal. And 2,000 is our broader goal. We have some really, really good interviews booked on the show coming up. Now, I know interviews are sort of a controversial thing among the audience. I regularly get two types of emails from the audience. And one is, David, you got to do more interviews and you've got to do longer interviews. The other sort of set of emails I get about interviews from the audience is, David, I don't care about interviews. I want to watch or listen to you just talk about politics. Okay, and you should stop doing interviews. I haven't watched an interview in years. I skip the interviews. Okay, for people who like the interviews, we've got some really great stuff scheduled. Number one, I'm going to be interviewing Natasha Dow-Schull, who is the author of this book right here. Okay, this is a fantastic book. Addiction by Design, Machine Gambling in Las Vegas. It is about not only the psychological aspects of casino design, but also about specifically video poker, video slots, and regular slot machines, and how they are designed in ways that sort of prey on cognitive biases and humans' behavioral psychology, etc., literally to get people spending more money than they can afford to, losing more money than they can afford to. So we're going to be interviewing her it's going to be a 2-part interview on the Wednesday and Thursday show, okay? That's all for interviews this coming week because I'll be mostly broadcasting from Las Vegas from a conference, all right? The following week, we have such great stuff coming up. I'll be interviewing author Brian Klaas, who wrote a new book called The Despot's Accomplice, How the West is Aiding and Abetting the Decline of Democracy. And it can be sort of counterintuitive because you say, well, no. We're spreading democracy around the world. We're actually the people in the U.S., through the use of our military, that are bringing democracy to the rest of the world. Brian Klaas argues that we're actually doing the opposite through our foreign policy, and it's going to be a really, really good interview. We will also have a 2-part interview with economist Richard Wolff. Many people don't know this. Richard Wolff now, in his retirement from being an economics professor, has built quite a name for himself as a critic of capitalism. He was a professor of mine at the University of Massachusetts in Amherst, and so I've known him through school since, I guess it's 2006 or 2002 or 2003. And he's become a regular guest on the show, friend of the show, and I look forward to having him on. And we're going to be talking about how he has a new piece out, very interesting piece, about how he believes that what we've seen so far under the Trump administration confirms what he calls the crisis of capitalism and why unfettered capitalism is in many ways just not working for a lot of people. So we're going to be talking to Richard Wolff. That will be a two-part interview. And then also later that same week, I'm going to be talking to Gordon Lafer, who is a professor of labor education and at the University of Oregon. And he has a new book called The 1% Solution, How Corporations Are Remaking America One State at a Time. And it is about the sort of corporate takeover of basically of states. And this is through state contracts and in other ways. And there's this amazing contradiction where on the one hand, you have conservatives supposedly being on the side of states' rights, except when it's not convenient, right? But that hypocrisy aside, at the same time that conservatives are talking about states' rights, they seem to be taking a completely hands-off approach to corporations completely taking control of states in a way that's far more pernicious than anything the federal government will do. So we'll be talking to Gordon Lafer about that. And then we also have interviews scheduled further out. We're going to be talking to Susan Bordeaux. She has a new book called The Destruction of Hillary Clinton. It's very, very interesting. Later on in May, I'll be speaking to Elizabeth Currid Halkett, who's the author of this book that I have an uncorrected proof of. It's called The Sum of Small Things, and it's not about Donald Trump's hands or any other parts of his body. It's actually a theory of the aspirational class, as the book says, and it's about what it describes as, how do I describe the aspirational class? It's a class that is rich, it's wealthy, not necessarily in money, but in education and culture is what we could say in many ways, the effects of which are going to actually grow inequality going forward. So it's going to be a really good rest of the month, and May is already shaping up to be really good. So a lot of good interviews coming up. If you don't like the interviews, you don't have to watch them. Okay. So I'm going to get back to Super Chats. In the meantime, let's do a little test. I'm going to press a button here. This is what we do to get a sense of what's going on with ads on the channel. I'm going to press a button that says play ad, and it allows an ad to be triggered for some people. Only comment if you get an ad, okay? If you get an ad as a result of the button that I just pressed, let me know in the chat. Because there was one point where pressing that button would trigger no ads whatsoever. Right now that ads are sort of officially back on, even though we're only earning about 5% of what we were. The play ad button seems to have been working a little more, but I'm not totally sure where we are. So we've got one person who got an ad, 2, 3 people got ads, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Someone says they got an NRA ad. 9, 10, 11, 12. Some people talking about ad blocker. Okay, so it seems that at least some people got an ad. 13, 14, 15. All right. So anyway, that's interesting. I don't know exactly what we can glean from that, but it is at least officially ads are on. It's amazing that so many people are getting ads for the NRA. And this really goes to something that I've been talking about for a while, which is one of the great things about the YouTube ad system, and this is part of why it's really not a good thing that the algorithm is being made more strict. The best part about the YouTube ad algorithm is that as a producer, I never had any contact. I mean, any contact whatsoever with advertisers. I just do the videos. YouTube has an ad sales team. They go and sell ads to advertisers. I couldn't possibly sell out or be influenced by those advertisers because I don't even know who they are. I don't know who they will be from day to day. And I never have any contact with them whatsoever. And this is why, for all the criticisms that there are to be made of YouTube, when it worked, the ad system was actually really good. Unfortunately, it's not working anymore. Okay, Martha Lerman sent a $10 super chat saying, just Thank you, David. Well, thank you, Martha. Yonks85 sent a $5 super chat. Do you know anything about 30-year-old John Ossoff, who recently lost in Georgia? Bernie recently said he thinks he isn't a progressive candidate. I know barely anything. I've been away for roughly the last 10 days, and during that time, I sort of try to make it a point to detox a little bit from politics. And I know that a lot of people were talking about the race, and I don't have a strong opinion one way or the other, but I will probably be commenting on it on Monday, okay? Vincent Von Dudler. Score runoff voting is superior to instant runoff. Okay, that's interesting. I think that there's a case to be made for that, Vincent. I've talked about runoff voting a lot, and I will talk about it again. Sham, Cham, or Ham Terreno sent a $9.11 super chat. Do you think our dumb, big-assed president will allow our government to shut down because he thinks he's a negotiator? He might, although I actually think that I do believe that for the most part, Trump is completely incompetent in just about every way. I think he's politically savvy enough to realize that it's not a good idea to do the government shutdown thing, that it just did not work out well at all. When Republicans did it a couple years ago. Jen Can You sent a $2 super chat. Akine sent a 20 Danish kroner super chat. I believe that's what that is. Downstream01 sent a 10 British pound super chat. Interview Karoli Zolnai Feher of 2 Minute Papers, please. A research scientist. His channel showcases research papers on various topics. All right, very interesting. Let me bookmark that now. I will check it out after the live stream is over. 2 Minute Papers. Interesting. I will check it out. Jen Can You sent a $2 super chat. Do you get the full money of super chat YouTube take cut? Okay, the question I think is, do we get the full amount of YouTube super chats, or does YouTube take a cut? At one point, I was pretty clear that YouTube was taking a cut. I don't know if this is an error, but the last live stream I did, YouTube basically took no cut, and I didn't know if it was a mistake or if this is a new policy or what the deal is. But if they took a cut, it was very, very small, which was interesting. Why would they change that? I genuinely don't know the answer. Okay. One person saying that they are having trouble signing up for membership. I think it's working fine. A lot of people are signing up, and I'll thank them in a second. I don't know at what point in the process you might be getting mixed up, but you go to davidpakman.com/membership. You have a button that is monthly or yearly. You can set it to monthly or yearly, depending on what you want. Then you have that red slider that you can drag the red dot to the right, and you select your membership level. Then you hit the red sign up button. And after you do that, it'll take you to the second page where you enter your first and last name, your email, you create a password, and you can put in a coupon code if you want. One coupon code you could put in is I voted 17. That will give you a 40% discount off of membership. And then you hit the red button at the bottom and you should be signed up. And I know it's working because Jolie Rinnick just signed up. And Jolie Rinnick would not have been able to sign up, I believe, if the website wasn't working. So I'm not sure what kind of a problem you're having, but it does appear to be working well on my end. GameFire74 has sent a $5.58 super chat saying, "What cartoons did you grow up watching? What are your favorites?" Okay, so I watched The Simpsons. That was sort of my main one growing up. I liked He-Man. I didn't watch, I don't even know what other cartoons were big with people my age when I was growing up. But, geez, what other ones? I don't know. Those were my big ones. I mean, when Family Guy started, I watched Family Guy, but I was in high school already, so I don't know if that's really growing up. But Simpsons was really sort of my main one. I am kind of into Archer now. I actually find Archer to be pretty clever. and I have not seen. I don't know if it started yet, but there's like a new Archer that's coming out. I have not seen that yet, but it looks interesting to me, and I'm interested in checking it out for sure. Okay, a few other thank yous that I want to send out here. Okay, Faith Johansson has signed up at davidpakman.com/membership. John Burns has pledged $5 a month at patreon.com/davidpakmanshow. Thank you. We are trying to get to 2,000 individual patrons at patreon.com/davidpakmanshow. We started this live stream with 1,429 patrons. We are now up to 1,439 patrons. So we've added 10 patrons. The immediate goal is 1,500, but the broader goal is 2,000 patrons. If and when we get to 2,000 patrons, I will do an entire show in studio, an entire broadcast of the David Pakman Show in studio, with my hair like this, with no product in it controlling it whatsoever. I posted this picture to my Instagram account. I'm on Instagram at david.pakman a couple weeks ago. And many people saying, David, you should really use that image to try to get more patrons involved and say you'll do a show that way. And that is exactly what I'm doing. So if that's interesting to you, patreon.com/davidpakmanshow. But honestly, if you don't care about the hair, and the entire hair thing, I mean, what's important is keeping the show uninterrupted on air the way that it's been. You can just send us $1 or $2 at patreon.com/davidpakmanshow. Super easy, and it will it will more than make up for the lost revenue that will come from any one person. And that's why we're talking about just throwing $1. Carla Blake has sent a $5 super chat. I have YouTube Red. Do you still benefit the same from Red before and after Adpocalypse? I believe so. So if you have YouTube Red and you watch David Pakman Show videos, because you're paying for YouTube Red, you don't see any ads, but we get a little cut of the $10 a month that you pay for YouTube Red. My understanding is that YouTube Red is unaffected by Adpocalypse. So certainly if you have YouTube Red, keep watching our videos, because that is a way that some of the money will keep rolling in. Okay, so on that note, let me talk about what's going on with the New York Times, okay? I'm going to pull up this picture just because this is a new thing and I forgot to set this up before. The New York Times wrote what is actually a really good article about the David Pakman Show and what's going on with the YouTube advertiser boycott. The article is by Amanda Hess, and the article is called How YouTube's Shifting Algorithms Hurt Independent Media. Now, it might not be obvious from the title that this is an article about the David Pakman Show, but it is an article about the David Pakman Show, and I actually am putting the link to the article in the description to the live stream. So if you refresh, or if you just Google the name of the article, you'll find it. And this article, it's just a basic, good, investigative article about what the YouTube ad boycott has done to our channel. Hint, it's destroyed our ad revenue, initially by 99%, now 95%. We've gotten about 4 to 5% of the revenue back. And it also talks about how this entire thing started, and it's actually really good. And Amanda Hess really did her homework. She not only spoke to me on the phone for 45 minutes about what was going on, but she also actually took the time to look into every assertion that I made, independently verify it, and then follow up with me where she had questions or where she needed clarification. So you don't always hear me saying, hey, this is a really good article, but this is actually worth checking out if you're not up to speed on what the YouTube advertiser boycott has done. This article will get you up to speed on that. And it will also sort of contextualize what we're dealing with and how this is actually hugely sort of a boon to corporate media. That's really what it is. So please check that out. And after you do, hopefully you'll understand why with pretty significant urgency I've been talking about our Patreon fundraiser and membership, because it's never been more important. And on that note, thanks to Susan Resitar, who has just pledged $2 a month at patreon.com/David Pakman Show. So that's a great article, and I encourage you to check it out. Okay, Vincent Von Doodler has sent a super chat saying, Doodler David, score runoff voting at equal.vote. Okay, very good. I pronounced it incorrectly at the beginning. Remy LeBlue has sent a $5 super chat. Can the president really sabotage, or as William Shatner likes to say, sabotage the Affordable Care Act like he's threatened to do if his new health care doesn't pass again? I don't know. I don't know the answer. I mean, for how long can Donald Trump continue to try to destroy the Affordable Care Act before he might just have to say something like, we're going to keep it but fix it and make it better, and then start basically working with Republicans to try to make changes to how the Affordable Care Act works? I don't know if he can survive a second failure, but we will see. Sham Terreno has sent a $5 super chat. Dave, your Instagram picture looks like you did a coke and hooker binge in Thailand before your mugshot. Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that, actually, because let me pull that picture back up. This does look like a mugshot in some way, sort of with the nondescript background, although you don't see a measuring tape type thing with my height before it. Which is good, actually, because I'm not very tall. And but yeah, I can see why you would come away with the mugshot perspective based on this picture. Another super chat from Mahniani saying for $5, David, why Trump team never tell the truth? The truth is not favorable to the Trump team, and it seems that we have a number of uncontrolled liars there. So that's probably part of it. GameFire74, can you tell us what YouTubers reached out to you? No, I'm not comfortable doing that. I mentioned that in the wake of the New York Times article that is now in the description that you can check out about the YouTube ad boycott and the David Pakman Show channel. I mentioned a lot of big YouTubers with millions and millions of subscribers reached out to me. I don't think it would be proper or polite to say who reached out to me. Because they were doing so privately. So I'm not comfortable doing that. Pablo Peniche sent a 100 Mexican peso super chat. What are your thoughts on Emmanuel Macron, the French presidential candidate? I don't have a strong position on that yet. But I'm going to be talking about the French election on Monday, okay? So that's coming up. Jen, can you ? $2 super chat. Appreciate you saying your show is for peeps can't afford it too. Absolutely. Absolutely. Only about 1% of our audience financially supports what we're doing. Maybe it's gone up to 1.25% in the wake of the YouTube advertiser boycott. The show has never been only for people who can pay. If that was the goal, then we would have a pay-only show or something like that. But yes, one of the most important reasons why we have to do everything we can to continue doing the show the way we've been doing it without any reduction in the amount of content in the wake of the YouTube ad boycott is because the show is for people who can't afford it and who would not be in a position to buy or pay for alternative media views. And that's a really important thing. Jacob Ball sent a $10 super chat. The Patreon goal is 20,000. At that point, will you be at the same place financially as you were prior to the adpocalypse? P.S. Can I join you on your next Coke and hooker binge? So YouTube terms of service they don't prevent me, but I would be violating YouTube terms of service if I spoke candidly about revenue. And as a result, I'm not going to do that. And I need to be particularly careful right now about this because it appears as though YouTube is actually starting to pay some attention to what's going on with our channel, maybe with the possible eventual outcome of fixing it. Although I'm really not optimistic at this point because we are making, again, 3 to 5% of what we were making in March and February and January. But it's in the term. I've been advised. One of the things that a lot of these big YouTubers have advised me to do is to be a little more careful in how I talk about what's going on in order to avoid potential problems. So I am going to be doing that. Okay, we are now. As I mentioned before, we started this live stream with 1,429 patrons at patreon.com/David Pakman Show. I can now report to you that with the $5 pledge from Jenny Franzik, we are now at 1,441 patrons at patreon.com/David Pakman Show. I can also report to you that as a result of a number of people using the coupon code IVoted17 to get a 40% discount off of membership at davidpakman.com/membership, and with the addition most recently of Jolie Rinnick, we are continuing to grow our membership support as well. And I really appreciate everybody who has been contributing during these streams. It's really helping us make a dent in the uphill battle that we are fighting. Super Anonymity sent a $20 super chat. David, we are here to support you. We love your show. From Deravi's Nail Salon on Pico and La Cienega in LA. Sorry for the selfish plug, LOL. Well, thank you very much. I was recently talking to someone actually about whether I've ever had any nail treatments whatsoever in my life, and I haven't. And a couple people I know, men, I mean, I know many women who get manicures regularly, but I actually know some men who say they go and they'll get a manicure without polish or anything like that, and that I should try it at some point. And you know what? I'm curious about many things. I spoke not long ago about my first experience with a professional massage, and it was pretty damn awkward, and you can find it on a bonus show from probably 6 months ago or something like that. I don't remember exactly. But in any case, I am not against the idea of going and getting a manicure. I mean, I think it's like $10 to $14, $15, something like that. And seeing what the experience is like. But I feel like I would just feel incredibly awkward during the entire thing. And I have not done that so far. Okay, on that note, I am still very, very jet lagged from our vacation. I'm going to wrap this live stream up at an hour. We are back with new shows on Monday, and I'm traveling Tuesday to a conference where I will be broadcasting to you, but I'll try to do one more live stream before that as well. I don't know exactly when. Thanks to everybody who joined me. Please help us make up the lost revenue. Patreon.com/David Pakman Show, davidpakman.com/membership, and I'll stream again before you know it.